The term "kill the cheerleader syndrome" refers to a phenomenon where individuals are perceived negatively due to their attractiveness or achievements, particularly where associated with sports or high-profile roles, which include dance. This term is often used to describe the backlash and harassment that occurs when these individuals are gaslighted or bullied by society, leading to feelings of alienation and resentment from those who do not share their perceived advantages. Daniella Avinzini is one of those girls, the cheerleader of Katseye. Daniella Andrea Avinzini, born July 1st, 2004, is a young singer and dancer from the global girl group of Katseye. She has a mixed background of Cuban, Venezuelan, Italian, and German descent, due to both her Latin American and European roots. She is a trained dancer from childhood, inspired by the talents of her mother, Anna Leonette, who is a renowned world champion of ballroom dancing. Dani, heavily connected to her culture from young, was trained in Latin, urban, and ballroom styles, competing in dance competitions and reaping many awards for her hard work. At only 7 years old, she was a second-place grand finalist at the international competition of Super Kids Europe. By 8, she had made a TV appearance on Univision's Sabado Gigante, where she showcased her talents through jive choreography. By 9, she had placed 10th in the 13th season of the hit dance show So You Think You Can Dance. She was then later invited to the Queen Latifah show, becoming part of America's Most Talented Kids segment.
What other dances do you love to do, Daniella?
We do cha-cha, samba, rumba, pasadoble, jive, hip-hop, jazz, and tap.
Just to be sure about that. That's a lot of different styles. What's your favorite out of all those?
My favorite is cha-cha.
These accomplishments at such a young age, along with the love she received from senior dancers and judges in the industry, showcased that Dani was dipping her toes into the dance world the correct way. Dancers that had studied the arts for decades before her were able to recognize the precision, technique, and stardom this young girl had. However, with her debut in Katseye, jealousy began to grow. And when jealousy becomes involved in any art form, things grow distorted. At first, it started with people dismissing her talents, claiming anyone can do what she does, be as flexible as her, move and contort their bodies in the same way as her, while simultaneously offering no explanation to these often unwarranted claims. Of course, anyone who sets their mind to something should be able to achieve it, but then shouldn't there be praise instead for hard work and perseverance to get to a certain level? Why instead are people so fixated on watering down dance to something which could merely be learned overnight? Eventually, comments like "over dancer" began to pop up on any edits, photos, videos, and pictures of the young girl. Daniella went from supposedly doing the bare minimum, which apparently anyone could do, to doing way too much, while her dance style and choreography had not been changing at all. At the height of Katseye's new song Gnarly, in which Daniella took center stage for her facial expressions, she became a full-on target of hate and bullying, not from Korean netizens or from the original fandom, but from outsiders looking in. People hearing rumblings about a new girl group rising to stardom spotted Daniella at the center of it all, took her as the mascot of their group, and began to break her down. And just like the name of their album Beautiful Chaos, it soon became that very thing. People began to say that whatever Daniella did, she was overdoing, and it wasn't just her dance moves that were a target anymore. It then went to her facial expressions, her voice, her looks, specifically in Gnarly. Dani, who was once beloved for these stylistic moves and expressions, had to deal with pitchforks aimed at her head for making use of her face in a way that was best suitable for a song of Gnarly's nature. She became the cheerleader they now wanted to kill. And yet, all the girls in Katseye have a very different way of dancing. It's not only Daniella who stands out from the crowd. Megan, for instance, is well versed in many forms of dance, best known for being trained in hip-hop, a very different style to the traditional moves of ballroom, where the hips and torso are the main attraction. Hip-hop prides itself on complex footwork and upper body strength, which is evident from Megan's moves and her choreography of various different songs. But Dani's, which is rooted in Latin culture, is seen as not socially acceptable. It is too big, too colorful, too wild. Lurkers outside the fandom find her dance moves distracting, yet are unable to pull themselves away. They dislike that she catches their attention and are unable to do anything about it. They detest her role as the main dancer and believe assimilation is the best course of action. They believe she should be smaller, not use her body to tell a story, be quiet, not make herself too visible. These people pride themselves on loving individuality, on supporting diversity of groups, while also demanding unnatural conformity between the girls and their art form. To not show too much of who they are because someone's ethnic roots, someone's culture, it can only be acceptable if it's not too distracting. If it doesn't make a Western audience too uncomfortable, it can't be too foreign for their liking. So this leaves one question. For the cheerleader who did everything that was asked of her, who worked her body and mind to its most perfect form, who shined brightly amidst the crowds and wanted nothing in return but to live her dream, will you allow her to live?